At saloon stock car racing, we shall see plenty more of that in the second part of the programme. But here the Golden Award will give you some idea of just how competitive this full contact breed is.
And here comes the pace car off the turn. As you can see, the pace car in fact is right up behind the star grade drivers at the back. That's how many cars we've got lined up for the 1988 Stock Car Golden Award event. 20 lapper, so they've got to get stuck in early on, and that's exactly what one or two of them are doing. Casualties this early on. We haven't got one lap gone, and we've already got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars out. 4, 4, 5 is the leader at this stage, Graham Boyd. Tight, the Scotsman there, 2:07, heads for the safety fence. Jimmy Honeyman from Denny, round and around he goes yet again. He's certainly having a rough ride. The scraping and the banging and the bashing goes on as they plough in one after the other. This is right on the start and finish line, right in front of our commentary position here, and that Scotsman's in there again.
He doesn't want to be Nigel. I don't think he's been dragged in there. With 47 cars, he's a very brave man.
Absolutely. You need to be a brave man in a race like this, no doubt at all. There's 302 Dean Wood, as usual, in the thick of the action. And
that's a wheel.
Thank you for that technical information, Barry Lee. On we go. It's good to have this technical support alongside me here. 139 has a little bit of physical support as he gets elbowed into the safety fence, and that's going to be a few places he will have lost. Kev Smith from North Walsham, but undaunted, he spins around and rejoins. And in fact, we've now got a red flag out from damage somewhere around the track, just trying to see where it is. I think it's the result of that melee on the home straight down here, just in front of the position. Well, I'm pleased to tell you there were no serious injuries from the hold-up, a few bumps and bruises, that was all. The track has now been cleared, and we now go for a restart for the remaining 17 laps of this Golden Award. A fresh chance now for the drivers at the front of the grid on the original start. Bob Jones, 151 in trouble. A fresh start, as I said, for the drivers at the front of the grid on the original start. Have another go because they've started back in their graded order rather than the positions in which they were when the race was stopped. So we're literally going right back to the beginning, but we've got a few less laps in which to determine this particular event. We've lost a few cars, quite a few, but there's still a pretty crowded field out there. The pace is hot, and the competition very, very keen. A bit of loss of adhesion there, and one goes around. 445, that was 177. 445, this is the actual third place car currently. I think it's 175, 173 in fact is the leader. Let's sort them out for you. 173, Paul Stockley from Brockley. Yes, Stockley from Brockley, he's the leader. Second place is 445, we saw a little bit earlier on there. That's the lead car, white top driver. That means he's the lowest of the 4 grades, hasn't scored too many points, so sort of relatively novice driver. Enjoying his position at the front, and coming in just behind him there is in fact the second place man coming up fairly close. And here comes a bit of a challenge now from 139. And rather wisely the white top moves over. That's the blue grey driver 139 coming through. So Kev Smith now from North Walsham takes it up. 139 from 173 and 445. They're the first 3. Then we go back to 84 and 73 and 47. 776 is and 47 the first of the star men beginning to show now. But the scrap, if there's going to be one, is between this one, 139. That's a back marker. Where's 84? Just out of the picture, still a little bit far away. There he is. In fact, there's 2 back markers between 84. There's only going to be 1 in a moment. Here he comes, 84, gets rid of 1 more. There's 1 more lap to go. I don't think he's going to catch this 139 car. He's going to have a lot to do. Is 139 going to get into trouble? No, he's lucky there. That little bit of shoving and pushing sideways from those other cars leaves 139 clear. Down the back straight he comes. 84's about 20 yards behind. Here he is. He's chasing hard, but he's not going to catch him now as his wheels lock coming off the turn. 139 takes the flag and the Golden Award, and that's a very, very nice win indeed for Kevin Smith. The second place home is car number 84, Steve Smith, and in third position was car number 47, Ernie Burgoyne from Kirkcaldy in Scotland.
So that Gold Award heading for North Walsham. That's just a taster of what's to come in the World Championship event, which is after this break. Okay, let's move on now to the main event of the day, the Saloon Stock Car World Championship for 1988. There's a formula introduced in the late 60s. It's become ever popular since then. All the cars have Ford 2-litre engines. All the unessentials stripped out, like glass, passenger seats, nodding dogs, they've all gone. They're all heavily reinforced with steel box girders to make things absolutely safe. And up front, there's a massive bumper. It looks as if it's designed to catch any passing cattle. In fact, it's more usefully used to see off compsmen. On the other hand, the Scots are well capable of looking after themselves, particularly world champion Bob Jones. Bob, what are your chances of winning the title again?
Well, I think I've got as much chance as anybody else out there. So I'll just be getting the head down and getting on with it and hope we can do okay. So I've drawn not too good a place in the grid, but in saying that, I could have drawn worse.
Where are you in the grid?
24.
Oh, crikey.
24 in the grid. But as things have been, I've had to come from the back all the time anyway. So we'll just have to try and turn it on for today.
Others well worth looking out for are number 302, Dean Wood from Aldershot, with a physical score or two to settle, particularly with anyone from north of the border, and number 636, Conrad Self from East Dereham. He will have a lot of local support here, and he's never won a world title. Right, away we go.
One thing you can usually rely on from the Saloon Stock Car formula is plenty of action, plenty of dedication from each and every one of those drivers out there. And that's just in an ordinary race. When it comes to a world championship, well then, absolutely anything is going to go, and probably will. The rivalry between particularly the English and Scottish drivers is intense. The rivalry between each other is intense. And action is about to happen any moment. There's 30 laps to come. This one lap just to warm up around the track under the control of the pace car at the front there. And as he comes off the turn, the pace car will make a dash for the grass, and then the World Championship 1988 is now well and truly underway. Won't take long before there's trouble, and Scotsman Gordon Barclay, 99, gets a very lucky escape there, a push sideways, but manages to straighten himself out as the field goes through. But there's mayhem already there, quite a few. Another Scotsman, 207, is well and truly stuck in there. Jim Honeyman from Denny, 208 is there as well. That's Mick Brassey trying desperately to pull himself out. 114, one of the cars that qualified last night was Brian Chaddock there. He was in problems as well. But these early stages, when things really get a little bit hectic, they're always a bit difficult to sort out, aren't they, Barry, when you've got so many cars around you?
Very difficult to sort out. 30 laps, 30 cars, so the people at the back, and there's a lot of star drivers right at the back, have got to overtake one car per lap. But as you can see, 488 there now is having a real major problem.
So on they go. There's problems all the way in this. There'll be plenty to come. There's plenty of time to go. Let's try and pick up the leaders as we look at the lap sheet now. With 3 laps gone, I think 445 is up in the lead. 139 is second. No, 448 rather. 448 indeed is the leader. That's Terry Colliver from London. Problems for a couple of them there as Eddie George just getting pushed sideways, but he manages to hold on. How much longer can he hold on? He's a lucky man getting through that little lot. 707, Gary Skeels from Spalding putting his bumper in there. Noddy Robinson in 432 pushing through as well. Eddie George comes back on the outside, but that's not very long for Gary Skeels. He's out into the fence, and well, hopefully he'll be all right. They're tough cars and they're tough drivers. So let's try and pick it up for you now. Things have settled down a weeny bit. 448, Terry Colliver. There he is, 139, I think, is in the second place, right behind him on his tail, and a little shove there will work wonders for 448 in a moment or two.
448 has got his hand out, Nigel. I think he's in trouble. 448 has got his hand out the window. There's a yellow flag, Nigel. There's a problem somewhere on the circuit.
OK, the yellow flag has now gone out from the starting marshal on the rostrum. That, I think, is the 707 car. We did see 707, in fact, spin out, and he's hit the fence rather hard, and the emergency crews are now onto the track to see what the problem is. Here's where it all went wrong for poor old Gary Skeels in 707. You can see it's Noddy Robinson who comes up alongside. The 707 car gets squeezed in a sandwich at that point, but he's there still OK. On they come a little further, and now a push obviously comes from the back end, and that was in fact Eddie George that spun him around, and he obviously went sideways into that fence post rather hard. And the driver very, very carefully removed there by the breakdown crews and first aid men. Obviously got some support around his neck, but I suspect, in fact, his legs were probably trapped down by the pedals. I suspect that was probably the problem. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that Gary Skills is going to be all okay. Well, I did promise you plenty of action and plenty of aggravation. It wasn't actually England versus Scotland that time. It was the south of England versus East Anglia, because it was Eddie George who put Gary Skills into the fence. Gary's on his way to hospital. The track has been cleared. The cars have been lined up in the original draw grid order, because the race was stopped within 5 laps of the start. And so they've got to restart in those positions, and we race now for 25 laps, remaining balance of this 1988 Saloon Stock Car World Championship. And the restart is underway. And of course, the penalty here for drivers who've done fairly well in those early few laps and worked their way up is that now they're right back where they started from, and they've got it all to do again, especially poor old 207 Jim Honeyman from Scotland, who's now got himself even further back than when he started. Not to say anything of the flapping wings. So we go through that early sorting out procedure, just trying desperately to get the feel of the thing once again, trying to find a little bit of room to manoeuvre, begin to look for some of the gaps where there might be a chance to nip past the guy in front, or better still, a chance to poke the back end of the guy in front and stuff him into the safety fence. But this is the leader now. It's car 448, Terry Colliver, who started at the front, of course, last time. And we've got a couple of cars going right round the fence, and a really spectacular effect there as that car came right around the bend with one wheel sort of caught up on the cable. That's the 114 car of Brian Chaddock, and he's mixed in there with, of course, 200, which is Fraser Manson, one of the Scottish drivers from Denny. The 636 Conrad Self is moving up very quickly. Here he is. He'll come in there to challenge. Around goes the number 3 car of Marcus Pollard. That puts him down, but a quick recovery at least keeps him going, although he's lost a few places. More problem there. There's a couple of the cars that were involved early on in the lead, the 448 car and 139, against the background of those two that did the spectacular crash around the bend. There's Eddie George, who was involved in that 707 incident with Gary Skills. He just goes flashing through, but he's away behind at the moment. 18 laps gone. 302 Dean Wood is the leader. 636 Conrad Self is second. The 84 car of Steve Smith is third. 226 Eddie George is fourth. That's the current order. 302, 636, 84, 226, 490 and 156 Ray Gowdy is sixth in this World Championship. And here is Conrad Self in 636, and Conrad is going well and making up ground.
He's definitely making up a lot of ground now, and as you said before, Nigel, Dean was looking behind to see if the cars were coming up. He has to look behind because these cars haven't got rear view mirrors. There's Dean in the 302 car, still doing just on 17 seconds a lap, and Conrad must be under 17 seconds because here he is, he's in frame shot now, and he can see the driver in front. There's going to be some action in a minute.
It certainly will be once he gets up behind him there. A little way back, we've got the third place car of 84, Steve Smith. He's only about 30 yards behind, but the battle at the moment is going to be here, because now here comes Conrad coming up behind Dean Wood. So let's stay here and see what's going to happen. We've got to think now what the tactics are going to be. And you've got to remember also that a driver from the south of England has never ever won the Saloon Stock World Championship. And here we've got 302 Dean Wood, Ash, down there near Aldershot in Surrey, and right behind him the local man, the local hero for whom all the local crowd are going to be cheering very loudly, 636 Conrad Self from East Dereham. And this is really going to be quite a battle if these two can only get on terms, and they will in a moment or two. He's closing that gap little by little, and as soon as some of these back markers begin to slow Dean down, he's already going on the inside with his wheels up on the markers. That's slowing him a little, isn't it?
Yes, it's slowing Dean Wood down, but Conrad was going round the outside of that parked car on the VRS turn, and actually he's losing a little bit of time and a little bit of space there. But he's now got some back markers that Dean Wood is catching up, and Conrad, that will let Conrad close up. There's Dean Wood, and there's Conrad right in the mirror now.
And here we come into the final 5 laps. There's 5 more laps to go, and the pressure is now coming on from Conrad Self. He's sitting right on that bumper. He's just looking for an opportunity now. I'm sure he won't go for the option of just overtaking. He's got to take 302 out if he's going to win this race. I don't think there's no chance if he takes Dean Wood just by overtaking. Dean will have him as he goes past. So it's got to be absolutely do or die, all or nothing. 636 has got to get rid of 302. And here they come. Very tight inside line for Dean Wood, just clipping the inside track markers with his inside wheels there.
Locking the front wheel up there, Nigel. He's trying very, very hard.
Round the pit turn they come. Here they are now, 6:36. There's two back markers in front. This could be the opportunity that Conrad is waiting for. I don't think he's got a great deal more speed. Down the back straight they run. The back markers have both moved over, and front wheels lock up on the Deanwood car as he brakes coming into the bend. On the inside, it's 3:02 Deanwood and still 6:36. Conrad Self still can't find the chance to go by. He's got to get on that bumper, and he's got to push. A little nudge comes in there now, and the checkered flag is at the ready. They're coming into the final turn now, and it's do or die now. 6:36 pushes Deanwood wide as they come out of the turn. Over the line they go, and Conrad Self takes it by a short bumper. What a fantastic finish. He timed it absolutely superbly. He left it until the final turn. He put in just the right amount of push, and that was it. Here we are, into this final turn they come, and this is how he did it. The push was absolutely right. It was sufficient to push Deanwood wide. That was the nudge at the end of the previous straight. Here we come now into this final turn. The second push comes in. Deanwood is just off balance. He's wide enough to open the gap, and through he comes. And as they go over the line there, it's half a car length, and a great victory, another victory for East Anglia, and 6:36 Conrad Self.
Conrad, brilliant, well timed. Now, you had it all summed up just before the last second, did you?
Yeah, it's chasing Dean there, and I thought, well, he's gone quite well. If I go by too early, that'll give him the chance to attack me back. So I thought, well, we'll hang back and just see what happens. He was unlucky he had back markers in the way, but that's the luck of the game, and I just managed to get in at the final day.
Half a car's length in it in the end.
Yeah, well, I didn't go by too far in case he would have turned me in there. So it's, 20 years of experience sort of probably come through then.
That's right, because you've won pretty well everything else, but the first time for this one.
That's right, yeah. I don't know, the world just eluded me every time. I just couldn't get it right, or things went wrong on the day, punches, everything, but we're number one now.
But Conrad Self's joy and celebrations were short-lived, I'm afraid. Although his car passed the pre-race scrutineering, after the race it was examined, which is standard practice, and it was found that he had a shock absorber which didn't conform to the regulations. He was suspended immediately. The Border Control met earlier this week to hear his appeal, but it was decided that he should be disqualified, and he's been suspended for 12 months. Well, that's been the talking point of stock car racing, as well as allegations of minor irregularities by other finalists. But the final verdict is that everyone moves up a place, and the new world champion is Deanwood of all.